morning from Augusta, Missouri. Again, well, we still haven't moved. We've been here all morning. So here is block number 6, beautiful Missouri. And when I think of Missouri, I love fall in Missouri, and I love the spring because of all the trees and all the leaves. And I don't know, when I think Missouri, I think of the beautiful fall foliage in the Ozarks. So I thought this might be a fitting block for us to do for our Missouri quilt. Some of you may not appreciate fall. Some of you are doing spring blocks, and that's perfectly fine. And if you don't have, as you pick out your fabric, if you don't have some really obvious fall colors, doesn't have to be. I'm not sure there's a blue leaf in Missouri, but this was my main fabric that I wanted to tie in with all my blocks. But it doesn't look too hideous, so life is good. So you can it's a representation, and it doesn't have to be technically accurate as far as color matching. So, and we'll have a couple blocks coming up that also comes into play. So just pick your 4 favorite colors, and then maybe try and use one of your main fabrics to kind of show up there. And of course your background fabric that probably is in most blocks. And here is the beautiful Missouri block. And it's not really a hard block. So last evening when I was preparing this board, I had this block done, but I didn't have the block in my other colors. So I'm doing kind of a bright version and kind of a more Civil War kind of palette, or Thimbleberries kind of palette. So there you go. So first thing you have to do is just cut out all of your background pieces. And for this block, you need, I'm just going to show you one leaf, because I figure you can do it once and you can do it 3 more times. So for one leaf, you'll need 3-inch squares. You'll need a background square and then the color of your leaf. And you're going to make the half square triangles. You put these right sides together. You sew on either side of that line about a 1/4 inch. And then you end up with 2 pieces that look like this. And those are called half square triangles. An important thing to do is to make sure that these end up being 2.5 inches. So once you do all your magic work and cut, you want these to be 2.5 inches so they fit in this spot. Because since each of these little squares in this block, since there's 6 of them on a 12-inch block, each of these, when finished, is 2 inches finished. So you want it to be 2.5 to allow for all your seaming. So for each block, you're going to need 2 3-inch leaf colors and 2 3-inch background fabrics. You work your magic and make those into half square triangles that you then trim down to 2.5 inches. Don't forget that step. And they go right here in your block. And of course, you're going to have 4 of them. So for interest of my demonstration, there's your 2 fake ones right there. So you really will just do this once and you will get 4 pieces, but just to show you. So they will go there. And then your background piece, and these of course will be trimmed to this size of 2.5, because that's what you need to make it work. So you have your corner piece of your background fabric. Then you have your 3 2.5-inch leaf squares right here. And this is the only other tricky part, is making the stem, and it really isn't too bad. Let me show you how to do that. We'll leave that there. And there's a great direction in here on how to make the stem. If you kind of don't get what I'm saying, there's a great picture in there that I found. So take your whatever you decide to use for your stem, and you put this right here, and you're going to draw a line there, and you're going to sew on that, and trim the excess off, and then press that back. Okay. Then you do your second one. Sew along there. No sewing on both sides, just draw a line, sew on it. It's different than a half square triangle. And then press it back, trim all that off, and there you go. There's your stem piece. And here's one that's done. And this is what I did. I actually just sewed on the diagonal line one time. And I'm going to cut that off. Right there. And then here's the other side. I'm going to cut that off. Press, 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 and then you have your really very cool, and you can double check to make sure that's 2.5 inches. But since your stem started out as 2.5 inches, as long as they work okay, you should be all right. But you can trim it down if you have some overhang there. So then you've got your pieces, you got your half square triangles, all trimmed down to 2.5. Everything else is 2.5, and then you just kind of sew row, row, row. And then I find it easy to press these rows opposing each other as I put it together. Then you sew the rows together, press, 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 and then your block is done, and you do this 3 more times with your other 3 fabrics. And then you just kind of arrange your leaves however you like. It does not have to be in this arrangement. I debated turning them all the same way. I debated turning the top in. I debated on doing that. You can put the stems out. It just doesn't matter. You can do whatever you like. So that'll be fun. So with your blocks, it doesn't matter if you decide to, like, say you have some really fun colors you want to use in one leaf. You do not have to use the same fabric in the whole leaf. Maybe you had, in this case, maybe I had some really cute yellows. I want to use like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different prints. I will just cut each different one, different one, different one, different one, different one, and then I just make my block, and it's just kind of a scrappy leaf, which might be more true too, because leaves are kind of different colors. So you don't have to do them the same colors. Like, I would stick maybe in the same family, like maybe all reds, all yellows, all brown tones, maybe all whatevers. But you probably wouldn't have to do that either. So you can make it kind of a scrappy leaf arrangement to represent the beautiful leaves we have in Missouri. So you can see I'm ready. I'm ready to do my, this was just my practice leaf. So I'm ready now to do my 4 leaves for my other colorway of my quilt. So I just make sure I have everything kind of organized. I need the 3-inch squares, the 2.5-inch squares, and the stem. And I get myself kind of organized. I do it a step at a time, sew them together. This is another case where you may want to use a scant 1/4 inch. Just if you have trouble with that 1/4 inch, just kind of make it just a hair smaller than you normally would, because there's a lot of seams. And if you're off by a little bit on any of these seams, you're off times 6 on any direction. But do not worry if your block turns out too small. We'll just add a little border at the end and trim it down to 12.5. It's not the end of the world, so it will work fine. But that's essentially what you do. Your half square triangles that go here and here, and then the base of your leaf, this right here, and then you make your stem. It really isn't too hard. There's a great picture in the handout about how to make the leaf. So that's pretty self-explanatory if you forget. Another thing I noticed when I was looking for this information on this block online, if you go down to the bottom of the handout, there was a gal who had taken this particular leaf block, and made a table runner, a nice fall table runner. So you could do multiple leaves and kind of do a fun fall table runner if you really like this block. It has a lot of applications. Hope you enjoy making this block as we roll into fall in a couple of months. Anyway, just think of the block because it's kind of a fun one. All right, goodbye.